a dollar, that's what I need. Hey, hey, well I need a dollar, that's what I need. Hey, hey, said I need a dollar, that's what I need. And if I share with you my story, would you share your dollar with me? Bad times are coming and I reap what I done sown.
Mama Earth to Mama Ocean. Mama Earth to Mama Ocean. Listen in. Listen up. White science, developers, scam lords, and non-profiteers, your time is up. We can't keep buying and selling Mama Earth and Mama Ocean like she doesn't count. Like what? Like what? Mama Earth, Mama Ocean is telling us now, listen in to the first peoples who always knew when time would begin. Today's podcast from a poverty scholar goes out to all my fellow poverty scholars and conscious peoples with different forms of race and class and formal education privilege. This podcast is in honor of unselling Mama Earth. From the developers who continue to speculate in real estate to take little parcels and big parcels and buy and sell them on the stock market for profit, to the extractive industries from oil to gas to the real estate notions. These cannot last. Today's podcast from a poverty scholar is a continuation of the DeGentriFUKation series I started last month. So if you haven't heard that, go back and listen to the last one. But this is a continuation of the DeGentriFUKation and decolonization series, specifically aimed at helping people unsell Mama Earth. So I say that to say that we're in a time where Mama Earth has already made it very clear that there is no more time left to continue this lie called capitalism. We have already gotten the warning signs a long time ago, and the emergency is already upon us. Going back to the government developers and the politrickster lies of scarcity models of the United Snakes, where they basically give hardly enough for people to survive. Scarcity models meaning that a system is set up from the get-up to make sure every poor person will die. Section 8 being dismantled, public housing being sold on the stock market. Again, these are previous podcasts I have already covered. The RAD program, eradication as we poverty scholars call it, yet another benign acronym created by the government to basically destroy all poor people housing and sell the mortgages on the private stock market. The ongoing dismantlement and dismantling of the little bit of crumbs that we already get. Check into Western Regional Advocacy Project, WRAP Home, WRAPHOME.org, WRAPHome.org to look at their research by poverty scholars about this work. But then similarly and equally important is the hoarding and cluttering disease of the occupiers, the land occupiers, and the resource stealers of this United Snakes and across Mother Earth. So it goes way beyond the shores of this part of Mama Earth, of the Northern Hemisphere, reaching all the way to the empire work of Indonesia against the West Papuan government, to Mama Ocean in Tonga and Samoa and Canada and on, in China and Japan, and the continuation of this harm against Mama Earth's shores. The global capitalist empire, where you have folks coming here millionaires and billionaires from other parts of Mother Earth now buying up huge swaths of Oakland, of San Francisco, of Los Angeles, of New York and beyond, and interacting and connecting with the eviction nation, the displacement nation, the DeGentriFUKation. So again, how can we unsell Mama Earth? Well, if you're hearing me and you're a humble person with maybe just one home, I would say that, you're also complicit in the sense that I'm not telling people to unsell their home and to not be safe, but to understand that spiritually and legally, your purchase of your quote-unquote land, of that piece of Mama Earth, is part of the real estate snaking system. So one of the things that you can do is band together with other conscious folks who happen to have a roof, who happen to have a piece of paper that says they own Mama Earth, and join us in standing up for unhoused people and saying, no, I don't want unhoused people swept off my street. I don't want unhoused people's tents stolen like the San Francisco mayor, London Breed, does as their unwritten homeless policy. Look at previous work by Poor Magazine on the invasion of the tent snatchers, where literally 405 tents have been taken, and that's just our humble documentation since the installation of the mayor of San Francisco, London Breed. So in other words, there is a way in which you can speak up, stand up, and share up. As well, if you have extra acreage on your land, you can follow in the directions of our sister Rupa and our Auntie Karina, who is First Nations Lashawn Ohlone peoples, who say that, there are other things that we can do with Mama Earth, right? The ways in which Planting Justice had this land in Deep East Weechene, Oakland, and legally and spiritually gave that back to the First Peoples. But then going forward with people who have the true hoarder clutter disease, not the one where we collect too many envelopes or bottle caps like us poor people do that mean nothing to anyone except an excuse to evict us from poor people housing, but the specific hoarder clutter, very dangerous hoarder clutter disease of hoarding wealth, of hoarding Mama Earth, of having 3 condominiums when you only need to live in one, of having a vacation home and a regular home when you only need to live in a regular home, of having 4 cars when you really only need one. And on the list goes, because this society teaches you that to collect things, to collect land, is to be successful. To collect things is to be loved. And so I'm trying to lovingly help listeners do what I have asked for before, which is turn blood-stained dollars into love-stained dollars. That if you have a trust fund, if you have extra equity in land that you don't live on, breathe on, and stand on, that maybe you could practice what we call radical redistribution. Consider passing that on to the Bank of Community Reparations, one of the many funds we have started that has nothing to do with a bank or the banksters, but has everything to do with actual redistribution to people in an emergency called homelessness, in an emergency called displacement. And lastly, it's the consciousness shift of unselling Mama Earth, because again, it's embedded specifically and dangerously in the Americlan culture. Not only that it's a success model, not only that you now have achieved this notion of success in a capitalist system, but that you have safety. And that safety is where the danger lies, right? Because how does buying and selling Mama Earth, which is actually a very dangerous thing to do, how did that get equated with safety? So I want people to sit with these notions. I would like to ask people to answer the question, when did you get the notion that buying and selling, that getting your own home on your own piece of land, when were you given that message that that meant safety? As we together as a community, as a community, as a global liberation movement, try to actually unsell Mother Earth. Please send your answers in to poormag@gmail.com. This is a call out, a shout out for our collective healing, liberation, and DeGentriFUKation. And on the future podcast, we will answer back and read some of those. So again, please respond to poormag@gmail.com. The question is, when did you get the message that buying Mama Earth would make you safe? So that's today's podcast for a poverty scholar. Sit with these dreams, sit with these visions, sit with these words as they are meant to be, which is love, loving words. That's all.
Share with you my story. Would you share your dollar with me? Bad times are coming and I reap what I done sow. Well, let me tell you something. All that glitters ain't gold.